Hello, YouTube. Scientists have not solved the mystery of the most powerful radiation beam that struck us from the depths of the universe. Let me remind you about the gamma ray burst GRB 221009A. A titanic cosmic explosion triggered a burst of activity from astronomers around the world as they raced to study the aftermath from what is one of the nearest and possibly the most energetic gamma ray burst GRB ever observed. Now, this is from November of 2022. The GRB, identified as GRB 221009A, occurred approximately 2.4 billion light years away in the direction of the constellation Sagitta. It was first detected the morning of 9th of October by X-ray and gamma-ray space telescopes, including NASA's Fermi Gamma-ray Space Telescope, Neil Gehrels Swift Observatory, and the WIND spacecraft. The exceptionally long GRB 221009A is the brightest GRB ever recorded, and its afterglow is smashing all records at all wavelengths. Now, let's look into March of 2023 and the recent article in the Russian newspaper Komsomolskaya Pravda. They pay attention to cosmic events and other cool subjects, including the paranormal variety. Let me tell you something. Decades ago, I have been exchanging UFO-related information with their current science observer, Vladimir Lagovsky. He wasn't working at this newspaper at the time, but he was a very daring journalist. I still keep his article about the Soviet ufology published in the 1992 Digest in the USSR. It was an eye-opener for Soviet citizens. And of course, those in the West who had cognitive abilities to understand that ufology is not limited to Area 51. By the way, I recall how I translated the article into English and showed to a prominent, at the time, American ufologist, and he told me that this was unbelievable. This is an example of narrow-mindedness and concentration only on the United States. Anyway, let's go back to the GRM. The main astronomical journal of the world, Astrophysical Journal, published an article that tries to comprehend the incredible event that happened on October 9 of 2022. Then a powerful gamma ray burst hit the Earth, which may have changed our climate and caused the earthquake in Turkey. The article, however, does not please. There are no natural reasons for such an event. So the Russians are looking at this, and we're telling everything that is known today about this incident of universal scale. Gamma rays are essentially the same light as what we see with our eyes, only very hard. You know that. Ultraviolet is hard. X-rays follow it on the spectrum scale, and we don't mess with them. So the gamma rays are even more dangerous than X-rays. And astronomers thought that nature does not produce them. But those gamma rays, poured out in abundance after nuclear explosions. In the 1950s, countries vied with each other to test atomic bombs, and scientists got acquainted with gamma rays. Finally, they decided to ban the tests. In order to monitor whether anyone is violating, several satellites were launched. And wow, the flashes continued. The machinations of the United States or the Soviets, what was it? But it quickly became clear gamma ray bursts come from deep space. When the Voyager spacecraft were sent there, dispatched there to the outskirts of the solar system in the 1970s, they were also equipped with gamma counters. Communication with the Voyagers that are already moving in a strange space where the rules dictated by our sun do not work has not yet been lost. It was they that on October 9, 2022 became the first witnesses of an incredible event. So the Voyager counters worked. They immediately sent signal to Earth. The signal was flying to us at the speed of light, a whole 19 hours. But the unimaginable force of the gamma wave flew along with it also at the speed of light. And the Voyagers could not warn us. Their data and the gamma wave itself arrived on Earth at the same time. Gamma detectors near the Earth seemed to be blinded by the incredible force of the pulse. Scientists sent telegrams from different parts of the world. Their equipment broke down. Later, they will make a mathematical model and they will understand events of this kind in the universe occur once every 10,000 years. Of course, if it is a natural event. It turns out that our civilization has never seen such a thing, and we will not see it for a long time. Later in this video, I will add something about has never seen such a thing before, but give me some time. So, the newspaper continues. Let's discard exotic hypotheses for now. What does science say? Since gamma rays are extraordinary radiation, the event that produces them is catastrophic. For example, the collision of two neutron, very dense stars. The momentum, however, will be weak. For the one that was in October, only the collapse of a star into a black hole is suitable. The star must be huge and the black hole must be incredible. We calculated that if this is the case, the event happened 2.4 billion light years away from us. It's somewhere on the edge of the observable world, and that's 2.4 billion years ago. The universe was young and turbulent then. And here it is important to understand why the article in the magazine was delayed for so long. If this is a supernova, there must be some traces. The nebula, for example, that is the remnants of this whole entire catastrophe. Like in the constellation of Taurus, where in the year 1054 a supernova flash was observed, and now there is a nebula that you will see with binoculars. We were waiting for at least something to appear there, but it's empty. It is empty there as it can be empty in deep space, and this is a huge problem. This suggests that there is no supernova and no black hole there. And here we plunge into an obscure world of conjectures and semi-scientific hypotheses, but still not fantasies. And here are the hypotheses. 1. We don't understand physics well. Modern physics stands on the fact that the vacuum itself produces and immediately absorbs into nowhere so-called virtual particles, including gamma quanta. But how is this possible? Maybe we don't understand everything right at all, and then gamma rays can be born without a supernova. 2. Alien nuclear war. Nothing contradicts this assumption. One civilization smashed another. Why not? 3. A signal from another dimension. Initially, astronomers were confused about where the signal came from. The fact that it is very far away, they began to assert later, and perhaps this is a stretch. In that case, who knows? Maybe it appeared very close to us, but it came from a parallel universe. And isn't that where the notorious virtual particles are diving into and from? 4. A signal for us. Trying to contact them, we use radio, but radio is a so-so communication channel. Of course, gamma rays are better. They're tougher and pierce everything in their path. What if they have a gamma laser and they aimed a bullet in our direction. But if so, the aliens really screwed us up. At the boundary of the Earth's atmosphere, energy in gigawatts was released. It's as if a powerful power plant took and threw all its energy into the atmosphere, and even in the form of gamma radiation. Has it passed without a trace? We're beginning to understand that the weather is determined not by clouds and other fogs, but by the ionosphere, a layer at the altitude of 80 to 100 kilometers, which consists of charged particles. The ionosphere hummed like a taut drum under the impact of gamma quanta. The ionosphere is positively charged. The Earth itself is negatively charged. The balance between these charges determines the weather. Of course, there is no balance now, and it will not be restored soon. The ionosphere seemed to be saturated with energy from the outside, and it began to pump out electrons from the Earth. During these months, scientists observed strange events. Yeah, look at the weather in California. Look at the weather at other parts of the world. Okay? Then, the most powerful earthquake in Turkey. Among the hypotheses, there is one. It is the balance of the Earth and the ionosphere that determines the stability of lithospheric plates. The charges flowed and the plates also started moving. The lithosphere is the solid outer part of the Earth. The lithosphere includes the brittle upper portion of the mantle and the crust, the outermost layers of the Earth's structure. It is bounded by the atmosphere above and the asthenosphere, another part of the upper mantle below. All this has been poorly studied so far, but there are some studies, and we will certainly return to this topic, promises the Russian newspaper. In the meantime, it is clear whatever gave rise to a powerful outbreak of gamma radiation, the Earth will have to deal with the consequences for a long time. Now, I want to remind you about the scientific prediction from the year 2012. In 2012, researchers found evidence that our planet had been struck by a blast of radiation during the Middle Ages, but there was debate over what kind of cosmic event could have caused it. A gamma ray burst, the most powerful explosion known in the universe, may have hit the Earth in the 8th century. Now, a study suggests in 2012 that it was the result of two black holes or neutron stars merging in our galaxy. That's what the scientists thought at the time. This collision would have hurled our vast amounts of energy, would have hurled out. In 2012, there was a team of researchers that found that some ancient cedar trees in Japan had an unusual level of radioactive type of carbon known as carbon-14. In Antarctica, too, there was a spike in levels of the form of beryllium-10 in the ice. The isotopes are created when intense radiation hits the atoms in the upper atmosphere, suggesting that a blast of energy had once hit our planet from space. Using 3 rings and ice core data, researchers were able to pinpoint that this would have occurred between the years 774 and 775 AD. But the cause of the event was a puzzle. The possibility of a supernova, an exploding star, was put forward, but then ruled out because the debris from such an event would still be visible in telescopes today. Now, another team of U.S. physicists published a paper in 2013, suggesting that an unusually large solar flare from the sun could have caused the pulse of energy. However, some others in the scientific community disagree because they do not think that the energy produced would tally with the levels of carbon-14 and beryllium-10 that was found. So German researchers have offered up in 2013. Another explanation, a massive explosion that took place within the Milky Way. One of the authors of the paper, Professor Ralph Neuhauser from the Institute of Astrophysics at the University of Vienna, said, "We looked in the spectra of short gamma-ray bursts to estimate whether this would be consistent with the production rate of carbon-14 and beryllium-10 that we observed, and we found that it is fully consistent. These enormous emissions of energy occur when black holes, neutron stars, or white dwarfs collide. The galactic mergers take just seconds, but they send out a vast wave of radiation." Professor Neuhauser added that gamma-ray bursts are very, very explosive and energetic events, and so we consider from the energy what would be the distance given the energy observed. Our conclusion was that it was 3,000 to 12,000 light years away, and this is within our galaxy. Although the event sounds dramatic, our medieval ancestors might not have noticed much, according to the BBC reporters. If the gamma-ray burst happened at this distance, the radiation would have been absorbed by our atmosphere, only leaving a trace in the isotopes that eventually found their way into our trees and the ice. The researchers do not think that it even emitted any visible light. That was in 2012. Observations of deep space suggest that gamma-ray bursts are rare. They're thought to happen at the most every 10,000 years per galaxy, and at the least every million years per galaxy. Professor Neuhauser said that it was unlikely planet Earth would see another one soon, but if we did this time, it could make more of an impact. So he knew, but he could not have predicted. It's impossible. If a cosmic explosion happened at the same distance as the 8th century event, it could knock out our satellites. But if it occurred even closer, just a few hundred light years away, it would destroy our ozone layer with devastating effects for life on Earth. However, this, Professor Neuhauser said in 2012, was extremely unlikely. Well, look, they cannot predict everything. They cannot even, they're not clairvoyants, they're scientists, and many of them are doing their best. But this is what I wanted to let you know about this strange event that finally the date is October 9, 2022, but I think it started on October 8, 2022. Nevertheless, I'm sure we'll find out more about it, and hopefully nothing like this will take place in the next 10,000 years. So I wanted to thank you for your attention to my work and ask you if you can support my research. You can do so through the Patreon links and the PayPal. And please tell others about my channel. Please subscribe. Please like my videos.